We're going to get into our last story here. Study finds little agreement between Republicans and Democrats on media sources they trust, which, wow, I'm shocked. So this is a fairly new story that popped up on the Agitator this morning or last night when I was looking for stories. So I had 12 articles when I first looked at it. Let's go ahead and refresh the page and see if we've got any more. We're up to 17 now. So 15% of right-leaning articles about it, 31% on the left, 54% means we've got mostly center distribution as far as our bias distribution here, and our factuality says 100% very high. I've got a story pulled up from the Associated Press. We'll burn through that and we'll see what they have to say. So, study finds little agreement between Republicans and Democrats on media sources they trust. A new study that probes the level of trust the Democrats and Republicans have for news sources finds that business-oriented publications, Forbes and the Wall Street Journal share an unusual distinction. They're the only 2 of 30 news sources that sympathizers for both parties told the Pew Research Center that they're more likely to trust than distrust. The Pew's survey, released Tuesday, illustrates how the country's political polarization has members of both parties in different media silos, which is a huge problem because then the bubble, the bubble that everybody is in just gets further and further apart and bigger, and you are literally just in an echo chamber of your own people. So, Democrats trust more news sources than Republicans, and rarely do their tastes intersect. Of 30 news sources tested, people who said that they were Republican or leaned Republican were more likely to say that they trust 8 of them. Democrats had more trust than distrust for 23 different news sources. Forbes and the Wall Street Journal were the only 2 on both lists. They were the only 2 news sources tested that more than 3 in 10 Republicans said they were likely to trust. Fox News Channel with 56% and the Joe Rogan podcast with 31%. Meanwhile, 13 of the news sources had trust levels more than 30% among Democrats. The 3 broadcast news divisions, PBS, CNN, BBC, and the New York Times, the Associated Press, MSNBC, National Public Radio, US Today, the Washington Post, and the Wall Street Journal. Rogan's podcast illustrated some of the sharp differences between the parties and why President Donald Trump's interview there proved influential during the last election. Okay, let's stop here for a second. Joe Rogan's podcast is not a news source, okay? He may talk about news things, but it's not a source for news. It's a podcast. It's a podcast by a guy who admits that, like, he doesn't know anything. He's just talking to people, okay? Like, the last episode of Joe Rogan that I watched was with AJ Gentile, the guy from the Y-Files, who's basically like the Coast to Coast AM guy, in the new age. Like, Joe Rogan is not a source for news. It is insane that people on the right are saying that Joe Rogan is their news source. Okay. 40% of Democrats say that they distrust Rogan's show as a source, while only 3% of Democrats trust it as a news source. Others say they didn't know enough about the show to offer an opinion. Nearly 2 of 3 Democrats say they distrust Fox News, but 19% said they trust it. These are just numbers. They're just throwing numbers at us here. Okay, the survey finds that 23% of Republicans said that they trust PBS, while 26% distrust PBS. Democrats trust PBS by a 59 to 4% margin. Trump, a Republican, is trying to eliminate most government spending for PBS, arguing that its news content shows a liberal bias. Pew's survey indicates Republicans are fairly evenly divided on that question. While it's not the case for NPR, which is also on Trump's chopping block, Pew finds that more than twice as many Republicans distrust NPR than trust it, while Democrats trust NPR by a 47 to 3% margin. The way that they're reporting these numbers on this make it very hard to understand what they're actually trying to say, like what the actual numbers are. And I don't know why the Associated Press has done this in this article. It's very confusing. It's not like when you say Pew finds that more than twice as many Republicans distrust NPR to trust it, while Democrats trust it by a margin of 47 to 3. Like, that that does not give me apples for apples of like what they like. Give me numbers of like this percentage and this percentage on both, or twice as many to half as many or something. See, like, I don't know. Anyway, it's still a very polarized media ecosystem, said Elisa Shearer, a senior researcher at Pew. It's too early to tell if there will be changes in the future. Well, how has it been in the past? Like, do we see a trend that's continuing here? A separate Pew survey from March found that 53% of Republicans expressed at least some truth in the information they get from national news organizations, up from 40% only 6 months earlier. But Shearer said it was tough to tell how much of that increase simply had to do with the new Republican administration taking charge. For the survey released on Tuesday, Pew said it questioned about almost 9,500 adults in mid-March. PBS said Trump's efforts to rescind public funding for media would disrupt an essential service it provides to the American people. Yeah. So, all right. Struggled through that one, but you've got divides that are getting bigger, it seems, and you've got the Republicans seem to distrust almost anything that you give them unless it's Fox News or Joe Rogan. That's kind of disheartening, but I don't know that I'm that surprised. So, hey, thanks for watching that clip from Nightly News this morning. I'm Cousin Matt. Please make sure to drop the video a like, subscribe if you haven't already, and make sure that notifications are on, so that otherwise, how are you going to know when my videos come out, right? Anyway, thanks, take care, and we'll see you on the next one.